We're keeping this super conversational and informal tonight. And as usual, I'm going to start not by reading a bio. Hopefully you guys saw his what we would like to refer to in the business as his sizzle reel. So you know a little bit about the man sitting here. What's up, Australia? How you doing, David? The man sitting across from me. But I never like to read people's bios. I always like to, unless, of course, I've booked several guests on here, Marcello, that I didn't know, and I, of course, read their bio. But rather, I always refer back to my history. So I knew Marcello way before he knew me because I've been going to DJ conferences probably as long as he has been going. However, I was always in the stands or in the seats. And so he and Mike Walter, who is one of Marcello's best buddies, were the guys that when I was coming up or thinking about getting on the stage and speaking were the guys that I looked up to the most. And I specifically remember one year at the Riviera, Marcello being there, and I don't know if you were speaking or just there, which made this encounter, and he doesn't even know this story, even more interesting because I remember going in the bathroom.
Oh boy.
I see this man in a tailored Italian suit in probably the shittiest hotel in the entire city of Las Vegas. And I don't know, and he's so good looking, and his suit is so perfect, and his pocket squares popping out just the right amount, and his tie has the perfect dimple in it. And I don't know if I want to fight him or shake his hand. And I decided to do the second, of course, after we washed our hands. I said, "Hey, man, I've heard about you for a few years. I've seen you speak. I don't even know that I was friends with Mike, so I don't even think I cross-referenced that I'm a friend of Mike's. But I just said, I want to introduce myself. My name is Joe Bunn, blah, blah, blah." And, it was just one of those encounters where it was going to dictate what I thought of this man for the rest of my life.
Oh boy.
How does he respond? And couldn't have been more gracious. "Hey man, nice to meet you. Where are you from?" And I was like, because I wanted to hate you. You know what I mean? Like,
wow.
you gotta, you know how DJs are, their egos, and then you see this suit and everybody looks like me and they got a t-shirt and, Pioneer written across the front. And I'm like, who the shit does this guy think he is? And then it was like a 2-minute conversation, but I was like, man, damn it, I can't hate that guy. He just was totally a cool guy. So that's my introduction to Marcello Pedalino, who we have here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The crowd goes wild.
I'll take it. Thank you, Joe. Great to be here tonight. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So everybody on Facebook watching, everybody on Zoom watching, thank y'all for being here. All right, well, let's get into it because we got a busy night. Everybody knows we usually do the Twitch DJ thing after this. So
yeah, who's on tonight, Joe?
A guy named David Sporn, who actually was on the podcast with Mike and I, a young guy from Richmond, Virginia,
cool,
is going to be playing, and myself, of course. I might as well use the stage for my own selfish reasons. But let's start like present history. Let's talk about today. What have you been up to? Because I know this is one of your, dare I say, favorite days of the year.
Absolutely one of my favorite days of the year. A little different this year because normally we do it in New York City. It's a Celebrate Life bike ride, right?
Okay.
And it was all was well. We do it's like 35 miles through New York City. We stop in Brooklyn. We get pizza. It's about 40 people, and it's built over the last 8 to 10 years. But Joe, I don't watch the news very often on purpose. I don't really get into social media politics and stuff. So I didn't really realize that until one of my friends who usually kind of co-hosts the ride with me, he said, as I told him, I said, hey, Joe, John, I said, things are getting a little bit better, I think, out there. I said, maybe we can, March and April, June, July. I was like, no way, we're not doing this ride. But then this last 2 months, I kind of felt like, man, I think this can happen. And he's like, man, do you understand that New York City is not what it was this time last year? And as hard as it was to hear him, I heard it from enough people after that it's a dangerous place right now, unfortunately. That's just the reality. I don't sugarcoat anything.
No, you're the second person. I actually ran into a guy yesterday at the coffee shop. He said, I just got back from Brooklyn. I do a lot of land development or turning warehouses into condos. And I said, did you go to Manhattan? And he goes, yes. And I said, what was it like? And he said, a DMZ, a demilitarized zone. He said,
Yeah.
all I did in the daytime was look over my shoulder.
Yeah. So obviously, thanks to my friend looking out, he's like, not going to happen. So Jill and I
Yeah.
talked about it, and
Yeah.
there's a few things I believe in very strongly as far as, why I get out of bed in the morning. And one of them is having something to look forward to. So I'm like, when I'm not going to let some people rioting, and I don't care how you feel about this association or that association. Rioting is happening whether you like it, want to admit it or not. And people are being shot for no reason. People are being harmed for no reason.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have 40 people on a bike touring through New York City because we'll be.
It's your responsibility at this point.
Exactly. Right. Sure. So Jill said, okay, one of my favorite quotes is, when fate shuts a door, come in through the window. So what's our alternative here? How can we make this happen? I happen to live in a town called Sparta, which, after, some big life changes, I ended up in a town called Sparta. So I think it was fate. So I'm a Spartan, and here there's a beautiful Lake Mohawk, and you can take the bike, you can ride around the lake, you can kayak on the lake, and you can hike, and looking over the lake. So it's a beautiful place. So we said, hell, man, why don't we just do it here? We've had people up here, some good friends for the day, for the weekend. And I said, well, why don't we just do that with 12, 15 people? Let's just scale it down. And so that's what we did. So we had Mike, we had Rockin' Romali, Kevin up here, Johnny V, DJ Toe drove 600 miles from Cincinnati. That guy's nuts, and I love him.
He's a road warrior. Yeah, that kid's crazy.
He is no joke. So he came up here. Terry Moran drove up from
I love Terry.
Boston,
yeah.
He was great. And my local friends from the YMCA came up here today. And man, Mother Nature just really blessed us today with an absolute gorgeous day. So we took everybody for a hike. Well, we had breakfast here. We did a workout. We call it the Breezeway because obviously it's just a great way to start the day. We made everybody bulletproof coffee, so that was neat. We went out for a nice hike, came back, mounted up on the bikes, did a 10-mile lap around the lake. Some serious hills. My dad came, Jill's dad came. They rode in my van. They were like the sag wagon, like the support vehicle. We did the Star Spangled Banner. We had the flag out and everything. So I'll be posting some pictures tomorrow. Probably.
I can't wait.
And then we finished up with an hour and a half on the lake. Everyone just paddled out, and the sun was glistening off the water. I know it sounds like but that's just how I am. Like I was so juiced up. So when you introduce this as this was one of my favorite days of the year, absolutely, man. And it just happened to. And what I love about it most was that, my wife's all about being a deliberate creator. Every moment today only happened because we did all the logistics, all the planning for it. I was up at 3:15 this morning, getting my yard ready with tables and chairs, and I mapped out the route. We had this and that, and I had to borrow some kayaks to make it all work. And anyway, so that was my day today. And obviously
awesome,
to see some people like Mike, Mike, because of everything been going on. And of course, he had the death of his father, which was really tough. And obviously, so we're usually seeing each other, every now and then, at least for a run or something, but things are just turned upside down. So just to see Mike, I mean, I know it may sound kind of mushy, but give him a hug and be like, hey man, it's good to see you. Look him in the eye, feel his handshake and feel his hug, the embrace. I did that with a few people today. It just feels good. It's the chicken noodle soup for the soul kind of stuff. And and I believe in that. So that was my day today. And even better than that, I'm sure as DJs, you can appreciate it. When my stuff's not put away and everything's not in order or particularly in place, I get a little off, right? I couldn't relax if for this webinar tonight. So I made sure that we budgeted the time. I'd be up by 3. And the idea was to kick everybody out by 4 o'clock this afternoon to give me 2 hours to completely break down. I want everything cleaned up, all the food, all the gear. We returned the kayaks. Jill, she's awesome. She made me a protein shake so I'd have energy for the webinar.
Nice.
Took a shower, got down here. I checked Facebook for that post that I did, which got a great response.
And, it did.
And I'm here, and I'm showered, I'm shaved, and I'm ready for Joe Bunn. So that's
with a new jacket.
With my new sport coat that I bought just for the Joe Bunn vault. So man, life is good, brother. Life is good.
I love it, man.
But we made it happen. So yes, one of my favorite days. And and I'm excited. I know a lot of the Vault members, Big Earn and Chad
Big
out.
Earn made it on here. He's in the chat now. Big Earn and Aaron are on here, and Chad is on Facebook. So
Chad's
we
there.
got.
All right. So, I mean, I wanted to see these are some really cool folks in your vault. So again, I'm not online very often. People know me. If they post something, they got to tag me like 3 times for me to see it. It may take me 3 days. I'm not somebody good to chat with online, but I will get to it eventually. But these are guys that when I see them, like Big Earn doing his movie night since COVID happened,
Love that dude.
he didn't slow down, man. He sped up.
No,
Chad,
he did.
Chad, his beautiful wife Nadia, man, Nadia got into her personal fitness.
Killing it.
And Chad, I had a great chat with him the other day. Alex Nepa, everybody is just, that's who you talk about keeping good company, right? I mean, your vault, I think, not only does it serve that professional, it gives you that professional edge, right? I think even more important, you are surrounding yourself with these what I call VIPs, right? Very inspirational people versus I think that the generic Facebook pages that I do happen to come across every now and then, those are the VDPs, right? The very draining people. They got a problem. They come up with a problem for every solution. Screw that, man. I want to be in the vault, and that's where those guys are. So I'm a big fan.
It's community, man.
Good for
it's
you.
Community
I really
now.
love what you're doing.
Thank you, man. All right, so let's talk about a couple of things. Let me just pivot for a second, and because I didn't really give a proper intro, we know you speak a lot, and I don't want to get too far into this because I still want this to be more of a health, mentally and physically kind of episode versus, oh, I'm a DJ and I do this. But just briefly give us an idea of what you currently do in a non-COVID world, of course, for in the entertainment industry. Because, we know you're not a Mike Walter, you're not a Joe Bunn. You're not even really what I would consider a single operator. You're almost more of an event host, a producer. Just kind of tell us a little bit, Marcello, for the people that are watching that really don't know you, what you currently do, other than and you can, of course, mention your lovely wife Jill and her practice as well. Sure. I know that's your other hustle. But
I would say for the DJ entertainment and event production world, try to give you the 30-second version. Is in the last 10 years, my personal involvement in the industry has evolved into being what they consider to be like an event producer. So when I host an event, it's typically around tri-state area, North Jersey. We do high-end bar and bat mitzvahs, and high-end to us is so our entertainment package is anywhere from $14,000 to $17,000 to $20,000 an event.
Correct.
And I don't DJ it. I don't set up the production. I do all the pre-event logistics and planning with the client, all the hand-holding, and then I will I actually use Jason Janai and his group SCE. I contract and I collaborate with those guys. They handle all my production, so it's all top notch. But I don't know that stuff. I don't keep on top of it. So I let them handle that. So I show up looking like this, and I walk in through the front, not the back. And there's nothing wrong with that. I still have events where I walk through the back and I get down a hand and do gaff tape. But for these events, for what I'm branding myself as, what I really worked hard to brand myself as for the last 10 years, that's just that's my role now. And on the event itself, I still love to MC. So I would be considered a master of ceremonies, and I still love to dance. So when it's time to, lead the Cupid Shuffle, hey man, I'm out there. I'm doing it.
I love it.
But I'll do all introductions at a wedding. I'll do the introductions. But my thing is as the event is going on, I am watching people for their responses and focusing on like Jim Cerrone, perfect hosting, hospitality versus the actual entertainment. So I'm pretty much one-on-one with the maitre d' and chef, making sure that the timing is going to be right. So whether it's Janai or Jeffrey Scott Gould, who I think is a member here, who's one of my favorite guys in the industry, they can just, I'm making sure that if they know that they've got 25 minutes to just rock a set, no introductions. I don't want any crap about or friction saying that, hey, 6 minutes from now, we're going to cut this set. I'm like,
salad,
not going to happen. So we do it ahead of time. That's my responsibility. I think my clients here respond well to that, and that's really my role now. We do not very many, maybe one event a month or less, but when we
Yeah.
do work, it's it's a
They're
big
big.
it's a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
payday, and I have a couple corporate clients like that I do annually, and between all those, I work kind of when I want, and when I do work, I work really, 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 really hard for sometimes
Yeah.
pretty challenging clients who keep me on my toes. But this is the way I like it. I've always been that
Yeah.
way. So
Well, and that's what I've always liked about you. I mean, you definitely have worked hard. You've built this brand, you've built this company, you've built this name, but you're a play hard guy too. And I love seeing that. And that kind of leads me to this next picture. And if you don't follow Marcello on Facebook, find him. It's Marcello, Marcello Pedalino. Marcello Pedalino, and he unlike me, he's not a heavy poster and responder and this, that, and the other on social, but he does use it. And when he does use it, it's usually for a purpose. And so let's talk about today, and let's circle back on this post that kind of took off, especially with a lot of Vault members, especially
yeah.
with a lot of your friends, a lot of people that were probably on the ride today commented on it. Walk us through that. I think you have it printed out there. If not, I can pull it up. But
Yeah. Yeah. So I asked 10 questions,
that
and
was early this morning, right? Or
yeah,
yesterday?
I think it was yesterday, because I wanted to, it's tough to, when I do speaking engagements. I think I mentioned to you this a few weeks ago when we had talked about this, and it's funny, we had booked this a few months ago, right?
Yeah.
And I tried to pick this day because it was going to be the day after the ride. I would never have done this the same day of an event, because it's
Right.
like, next year I'd rather do this maybe the day before. Just give me a little extra
Right. Right.
faith. But uh, the goal for me whenever I speak with a group who I don't really know, I mean, granted, I know a few of the people, but as a general rule, when I'm doing a speaking engagement, I like to be hired and I will get compensated more for it, but I will go
Yeah.
in on day one if I'm speaking on day 3. I want 2 days to spend with the group, right? So I didn't have that opportunity with your Vault members, and I'm not online enough to be. I tried to do some checking. You had given me access, so I checked out as much as I could. Had a great chat with. Let's talk about Dave Lander later. I thought he was an awesome guy.
He's awesome.
I know a
Yeah.
lot of people speak highly of him. That's what I do. If I keep hearing the same name, I want to go talk to that
Yeah. I
guy.
got to find this guy. Right.
Yeah, so I gave him a call, and it was great. But so I thought the best way to get to meet and get to know some of your members was to kind of do what I do when I'm at a speaking engagement in the first 2 days. But I said, hey, let me use this online resource, Facebook, and it's easy for me because I can just post it and let it go and see what happens. And
Sure.
I tag some people who I respect on Facebook. You obviously being one of them, and I got some really great responses. It's 10 questions that aren't just, hey, what's your favorite movie, what's your favorite
Sure.
cheat meal or something like that.
Sure.
They make you think a little bit. And if you're a fan of Brene Brown, it's a little bit of vulnerability, and I think that's
Yep.
really important. So yeah, we can go through some of them, but that was the
Yeah,
post.
man.
I
I,
asked
I would
10
love to,
questions.
man, because I haven't had my chance to chime in on mine yet. But start at the top. I mean,
Yeah,
and just kind of.
so number one, it was, and this, you always start off with an easy one, but it kind of makes you think, because I think people do make things a little bit more difficult than they need to in their lives. They want to simplify things. So I just ask, number one, what is something simple that makes you happy? So let's just go right to you. Joe Bunn, what's something simple that makes you happy?
Music.
Yeah, man. Of course.
Music.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
music. I mean, it's going to be music and family. You know what I mean? Those are going to be my first two things that come to my head.
Right. So
I don't know.
is anyone going to get grossed out if I do that licking thing with my finger? Because
No,
I have a thing here, and if I don't do that, I can't get these pages to turn. So it's just
I'm
me.
not grossed out.
I'm not in public. I'm not going to be touching anybody. So don't freak out. Don't be a jerk online to me, because I can't see the comments anyway. But I'm doing this so I can turn the freaking page. Okay, here we go. What I love, Mitch Taylor. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I love Mitch.
Mitch just said, "Look, hearing my kids laugh," and I couldn't agree more with that. I know when Isabella, she's 11,
Yep.
when I hear her laughter, like, whether it's because I have to tickle her or not, but just
Yeah.
when it's like Jill's dad at 90 years old. When we play Yahtzee, man. We have like super Yahtzee tournaments, and
Sure.
he's big into it now. When he makes a joke, when he rubs in something that he won with me, he gets like a little kid, 90 years old.
Dude, I
So
love
yeah,
it.
hearing people laugh is great. My buddy Gabe actually has one of my favorites, was just a great meal with great people. I don't think you can go wrong with that.
I love that.
Debbie Russell, I'm not sure. Is she a Vault member or is she someone else from my Facebook?
I know Debbie, but I don't know.
Okay, but she, randomly dancing along to music, whether it's in the kitchen doing chores or just walking down the hallway. That's me too, man. We've got Alexa all over the house, and it's constantly one of our anthems here is "Raise Your Glass" by Pink. Man,
Yeah.
that's like the song before Isabella goes in. Usually it's before we walk to school or ride our bike to school, but now it's like distance learning. She has to go downstairs and learn on the computer. But we still jam out to Pink, "Raise Your Glass." Have you played that in a while? Dude, that's just an anthem.
I played it in a few weddings earlier this year, I think.
And I love Aldo Ryan. He's a smooth dude, man. He's one of my favorites. He said, let's see, he just loves to sit outside in the sun, and that's Jill and I.
Perfect.
Man,
yeah.
We are. I told you we were thinking about it, but we are going. We booked Aruba. We were a little
nice
about it, but we're going to Aruba next week. After this crazy couple of months we've had, we are going to be sitting our butts on the beach for a few days.
I love it,
We're
man.
excited. So
sit out there.
So that's Aldo Ryan. So question 2, did you go from fit to fat, or from fat to fit during these past 6 months? How about it?
I maintain, but I usually stay on the fitter end of the spectrum. So I maintain.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of people said maintain, which I thought was pretty cool. And that's some of the guys in my small VIP group too.
Sure.
Now, Jason Yoshino, is he a member? Because I know he's big on a lot of the DJ groups. And
I love
you talk about a positive dude, man. He's always, I follow like maybe 8 people on Facebook and for a reason. And he's somebody I'll check in with, because generally 9 times out of 10, he's posting something like either inspirational and not just like rainbows and butterflies, but like,
right.
You know what I mean? But he's not going to get political. And you know the people who just get political every day can't do that. So he says, fit to fat or fat to fit. He's like, I've maintained pretty much been the same for the last 6 months. I actually started my weight loss and living a healthy lifestyle a decade ago, got up to 226 pounds, and then worked out, ate right, and now maintaining at 159.
Nice.
226 to 159. When I was talking to Chad Allen Blackburn the other day, did you know he lost 100 pounds? I didn't know that.
I didn't know him then. I've only known him since he looks like he does.
You look at Jason, he looks like Muscle and Fitness magazine cover, right? And he's got the look, he's got the tattoos, and he's got the beautiful wife. I'm like, who is this guy, right? And I had no idea. He was 100 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
And he told me a great story when we were chatting the other day about the first convention he went to, and he knew about me and Mike. He came up to introduce himself, and he's like, Nadia and I, we brought our microwave. We prepped every meal.
Wow.
I thought you'd appreciate that. I'm like, hell yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But look at him now. Look at him now, man. And that's what it takes. That's what it takes sometimes. So, all right, let's go.
Let me ask you this. Let me jump in there, because this is actually a good segue to this. Because, we kind of titled this thing, what do we call it? Eat less, read more.
Right.
And, I wanted to bring you on because if you look again at his Facebook page, even the post he made with he and I on there, I mean, and I don't know how old you are, and we don't have to get into that, but needless to say, this guy, whatever you think his age is, isn't what it is. And if he took his shirt off right now, you really wouldn't know how old he is. He is one of the most fit guys that I know, like one of the most fit people I know. And he's a very, what I love about Marcello, he's a practice what you preach kind of person. And so let's talk a little bit about this. Why when you and I were brainstorming about this months ago, this eat less, we can see it, this kind of eat less, read more type lifestyle. Well, and this is a question I've been wanting to ask, and something we kind of talked about. What does it mean to like achieve a meaningful like lifestyle transformation, or what do I need to do? What do I need to focus on? If I'm out here watching this, whether I'm watching it live tonight or recording, what are some of the things that you're like, key in on this, jump?
Here's the title of tonight's webinar, right?
Yeah.
Read more, eat less. So what I'm going to tell you, the first thing to do is you can pick up, whether it's my book or there's plenty of great books out there, but talk about age, right? So I'm pretty much 50 years old, right? I hope I ever feel 50 years old, or because when I
Yeah.
was younger, 50 years old was ancient, right?
I felt like, yeah, that was going to be like old man status, right?
Yeah, but I don't feel it, and I
Yeah, you
appreciate
don't look it.
if you don't think I don't look it, so that's great too. But here's the book. Talk about this.
Yep.
I want you to read this. Okay, this is a book
Okay.
called Becoming Ageless. My friend
Okay.
Strauss Zelnick did this. Now, if they go to my blog, that book and all the links are there.
Okay. Okay.
MarcelloPedalino.com, my blog.
Okay. I'm putting all
Um,
this in the chat.
cool. Um, the idea behind reading more is getting off of Facebook. So one of the questions I asked was, what do you guys need to do? What do you need to spend less time doing? And a lot of people said social media, spending time scrolling,
Yeah.
spending time
Yeah.
in front of a screen. And I'm not talking about doing your accounting or writing letters to clients. That's different. I'm talking about being online with a silly discussion. I've mentioned it in the past about, if you're more focused on who's running the White House instead of who's running your own house, you're not going to be as productive as you could be. Definitely not as positive as you could be for the rest of that day. So,
Sure.
so you need to pick up a book, and pick up a book that's going to make you help you to make more money, to help you get better sleep, to help you get better nutrition, to help you be a better person to your wife, to your husband, to your kids. And at the same time, you're going to read about nutrition. You're going to realize that you should actually be, most likely, almost everybody, 9.5 people out of 10, need to be eating less. And I talk about intermittent fasting now for the last few years. It's an absolute game changer. So it's kind of a catchy thing to say, read more, eat less. It's just an easy way for me to express those are two things. It's almost like addition by subtraction. So eat less, and you're actually going to feel better, where people think, well, the more I eat sometimes, the better I feel. And that's psychological. I've had that before. I'm sure you've done some stress eating in the past, or
Sure.
emotional eating. It's a big deal. It's a serious subject, and it deserves your attention, or at least the introspection to realize that you might, have an issue that needs to be worked out. So, but when you read books like this versus a Facebook post, or Instagram, whatever what is that, TikTok and stuff? I don't know, but that's all the cool
All
things.
the things. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not. I mean, how many times do you feel better after going through some comments where people are just annoying you, or they're being obnoxious, or they can't even have a two-sided conversation, or just respect someone
Rarely.
else's opinion? Rarely, right?
Yep.
So if you did that, if you read more things that you knew were going to benefit your professional and personal life, right?
Sure.
And then you combine that with realizing that you don't need to eat as much as you're eating, whether it's psychologically or just from a physiological standpoint. People eat out of habit versus hunger. They eat because they're dehydrated. They're actually thirsty instead of being hungry. And I spoke with Rob Ferre. I spoke with Sean Big Daddy McKee and Jason Clark, who you know, and in the last couple of months, and they've all been curious. So I spent some time on the phone chatting with them about intermittent fasting, and something as simple as either eating less for breakfast or skipping breakfast, or hell, if you want to have breakfast and then a lunch, then you probably don't need to have dinner. The whole point is you need to be eating 5 times a day or 3 huge meals a day. And to the person who hasn't been exposed, I'm not better than them, and you're not any worse than people who know about intermittent fasting, but you're just, I feel bad because I didn't know about it either. And I know
it's education, right?
Yeah. So,
I mean, you think about all the stuff that we learned growing up. I'm the same age as you. And breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and you got to fuel up, and you got to eat 3 squares a day, and clear your plate. And
Joe, do you know who made up those commercials? Right? You know who made up all those statistics and who got paid?
Cereal companies and
Exactly,
right.
man. Just like the pharmaceutical companies who sell the cholesterol lowering drugs. Right? I've learned so much. I took the nutritional courses. I got my certificate. I got my nutrition course. I did my personal training course, and in addition to learning how to lift weights in proper form and that other stuff, you learned about the biology of it, the science behind it, and you just learned that cholesterol. People freak out about cholesterol because that's what we were taught. You actually need cholesterol, and it's like LDL, HDL. Do you even know what they are? No one just, I want to make sure I have a low LDL, or is it a high LDL? I don't even know. People don't even know what to do. All they know is I should get on some drugs, take some pills to lower it. But they
Right.
don't understand why. If they would just, and I don't want to preach to anybody, but if they just made some adjustments in their nutrition plan, they would be able to avoid medication, and at the same time they would feel better, and then they would save money on the copays that they had to pay if they're lucky enough to have a copay to cover this stuff. Then all of a sudden you're dropping 20, 30, 40 pounds. And I'm not sure if you've ever been 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight. I haven't been that much overweight, but I've been 10, 15 pounds, 20 pounds
Yeah.
a year. And man, the difference, the efficiency that your body, it just shows you, your body shows you the appreciation, not just in how you
Sure.
look, but from the inside out. And
Energy levels,
yeah, and so
sleep, everything. Yeah.
and people ask me, they say, "Look, what are you doing? Like, what do you
Yeah.
what are you taking?" And I'm like, this is just who I am. Ask Mike
Yeah.
Walter; he'll tell you. I mean, he can vouch for it. This is
Yeah.
pretty much who I am, and there's nothing special, man. It wasn't a special. I didn't graduate college. A lot of things I didn't do that I wish I did, but
Yeah.
what I do know is that if there's something out there that can make me smarter, that can help me run a better business,
Yeah.
I'm going to research it. I'm going to read about it. And Joe, I hate reading. I'm a slow reader. I got to read the
Right.
same freaking chapter sometimes like twice, or the same page
Yeah.
3 times to actually get it. But I will, because the stuff, it gets in there, and all of a sudden you practice it and your life changes, man. So eat, read more, eat less. And if it concerns you, when people say, "Oh my God, there's no way I'm going to skip a meal. I can't eat less. I'm going to starve." And I say, look, there's a little experiment. Like everybody right now, I can't see everybody, and I don't know if you guys are all saying bad things on the chat thing, but
No, they're not.
who's ever on the
They're,
chat over there,
they're saying good stuff.
like put both hands in the air like this, right? Okay, and now put them down on either side of your belly button.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now squeeze.
Yeah.
You feel that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That not only is that a muffin top, but that's a 24/7 buffet of fat that your body can live on for 3 to 4 weeks, because that's what it's designed for. It's stored fat. So you skipping one meal a day, or you skipping 4 meals out of let's just say 7 times 21 meals in a week, you skip 2 meals. Do you think that's going to make a difference? It's not. If anything, your body is going to start to show the biological, physiological results. You're going to start feeling better, but you have to do it to get those results. And most people, they punk out after 2 days because they're like, "Oh my God, I'm
starving." Right.
I'm starving." But it's psychological, because they're just so used to eating every
It's a
day.
habit. It's like brushing your teeth. Right.
6
It's a
o'clock,
habit.
8 o'clock in the morning. I know a lot of people shared with me. They said, "Look, I have my routine. My routine is I get up, I drive into work. On the way to work, there's a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts on the way in. I pick up my coffee and my scones, or whatever they're called, or your bagel.
Scone.
I don't know, scone. Yeah, scone. Sconces might be the curtain thing.
On the light on the wall.
A light on the wall. There you go. And that's just my routine. I feel off if I don't use the routine. Well, you know what? Change your routine, man.
Yeah.
Change your routine, because you're not giving your digestive system a chance to get into what if you're in my world of nutrition or whatever, it's into ketosis. Okay.
Yeah.
And when your body is in ketosis, that's when your body is able to start using fat as fuel versus glucose and like carbohydrates, because the carbohydrates, I only learned this from studying this, is carbohydrates just break down into sugar. And sugar's not good for you, man.
Yeah.
It's not good, because what happens when you eat a bagel, when you eat something high in carbohydrates and sugar, it feels good for about an hour and 15 minutes.
Right.
And then guess what? About the 2-hour mark is you have a crash.
Tank. Right.
You feel like you get hungry again, and you lose your energy. So that's why I recommend the bulletproof coffee, or something with some healthy fats, avocado. You can have eggs if you want to eat, but if not, man, you can actually just hold off until like 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock. And then trust me, when you get to 12 o'clock, yeah, man, you're going to be hungry for lunch, and you have a balanced lunch. I know it sounds crazy, because I thought it did. Look, I want 3 slices and 2 Snapples. That's what I used to eat. Before that, I would have Burger King. I knew every single Burger King in my county. And I seriously, I would get 2 bacon double cheeseburgers, extra large fries, and an extra large Coke. That was my thing. I got it 3 or 4 times a week. But I was in my 20s. I could do it. I was active, so
Sure.
I can do it.
Sure.
Yeah. When you get near 40, and me now, when you get to be 50, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, you do that for lunch, and you have avocado. You've got hard boiled eggs. You've got maybe some vegetables.
Yeah.
Some cool like macadamia nuts. We have pickles, olives, or something like that. Maybe a small piece of protein. And then guess what? You're actually filled. You're satiated, and you didn't cheat yourself because you
Right.
had real food.
Yep.
And then, do you need to snack at 2 o'clock, 2 hours later, like most people do? They have some bars or something, or some
Yeah.
chips in their. No, you don't. You can actually
Right.
wait until dinner time. Sit down with
Right.
your family, have a normal meal.
Right.
Again, a healthy fat. Maybe a small amount of carbs and a healthy protein, and then that 6, 7 o'clock at night, and then guess what? Stop eating because you don't need to eat after that. And if you stop eating at 6, 7 o'clock at night and you don't eat until 18 hours later, which is around 12 o'clock lunchtime or something like that, your
Yeah.
body is now able to actually digest your food to do its
Right.
job.
Right.
But
Right.
people never give their digestive system a chance to do its job, man. So
Yep.
imagine you're eating at 10 o'clock at night. Maybe you snack while you're watching TV, and then you're getting up at, I don't know, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning to go to work. And now you're getting that crap. You're getting the bad, caffeine. You're getting, some sort of
Sugar.
sugar rush.
Bread.
Right.
Right.
And then 11 o'clock snack. Then you're having some 1 o'clock horrible lunch. Then you're having a 3 o'clock snack. Then you're having a dinner, or maybe dinner not till later on. And then it's this vicious cycle you never get out of. But until you try it, it sounds nuts. And I only know
Yeah.
that because I thought it was nuts until I started doing it. So you talk about, walking the walk. I can only tell you these things because I've lived it and I live it now. You ask anybody, they know there's some discipline to it, but
Right.
I'm only saying this because I can vouch for it. It's
Yeah.
the real deal.
And I live with a person that's into this lifestyle as well, so I can vouch for it as well. I've seen her and doing this keto thing for quite some time. Okay, so I want to pivot to something else, and I'm going to make sure, Marcello, that everybody in the vault gets the sheet that you made. And we don't have time to go into all this stuff today, but Marcello made this really cool Word document with a lot of things that he recommends for the lifestyle that he lives. And it's everything from the bulletproof coffee that he talks about to, the bars that he likes, to some of the interchangeable weights, to the cooler bag that he uses for meal prep. One of the things that stood out the other day, you and I were talking, we probably should have recorded that conversation as well because it was kind of kick-ass, was, and I remember going home and telling my kids this. It was so powerful. You said that sitting down all day, because we were talking about virtual school, is the new smoking.
Yeah.
And that was your exact quote. And I was like, holy shit, what?
Yeah.
And
Sitting is the new smoking. Yeah.
and we started talking about these stand-up desks, which I'll share that link with people for the one you like. But why? I mean, tell us where that mindset started. Like, what have you read? What's that all about?
Let me break it down for you.
Sure.
We are a lethargic, lazy society as Americans. And I love America. I'm proud to be an American, and I love this country. I think it's the greatest in the world. But real talk, we as a people are pretty freaking lazy, and that's sad. As hardworking and as innovative and as many pioneers we have that live among us,
Sure,
there are a lot of lazy people here, and a lot of it's not our fault. It's just what's been accepted as the norm. So I'm fortunate I get to travel, quite a bit for pleasure, for business, and I see how other countries function. And when I saw people standing up for a lunch meeting, when I saw people standing up when the lunch meeting was over and they went back to work, I'm like, what are they doing? Why aren't they sitting down? It's got to be so uncomfortable. How can they possibly stand on their feet for that long? But here's the breakdown. You get up in the morning, and most people, when I asked some of the other questions about what do you need to spend less time doing, they said not just being on social, but checking my phone while I'm still in bed, or checking my phone while I'm in bed before I go to bed. Those are two killer things you can, and not in a good way. So imagine though, you start your day by laying in bed for a half an hour, scrolling through Facebook and whatnot, or Instagram and that sort of thing. And then you go to sit down at your kitchen, maybe to go eat maybe you eat breakfast at home. If you don't eat breakfast at home, you're going to get into the car. For most people, not too many people I know walk to work. So you get into the car, you're driving now, some people 15 minutes, half hour, whatever it is, and you're stopping, you're getting that, that Dunkin' Donuts, what do we call it? Scones? No, the
Scone.
The scone, right? And then what do you do when you get to the office? If you work in an office, what are you going to do? You're going to sit down at your desk.
You're right in
Sit
front
down
of the
at your
computer.
desk. You got 2 hours maybe in a row, checking emails, doing your thing. Great. Maybe it's 3 hours, but what are you doing in about 3 hours? You're going to have lunch. You get up from your desk. What are you going to do? You go to the fridge, maybe go out to eat or to your little lunchroom. What are you going to do? You're going to sit down and have lunch.
Sit down. Yeah.
What do you do when you finish lunch? You get finished with your lunch. You go back to your desk.
Back to your
You're going
computer.
to sit down. Right, and you want to wonder why you want to wonder where those 10 pounds came from out of nowhere. It's because all you're doing is eating, and
Sitting.
you're not burning any calories. You're not burning any calories. So now you finish you finished lunch. You went back to your desk, and now you only reason you get up is not to stretch, but you get up to go get a snack from the vending machine, or maybe you've got snacks somewhere in your office, and now it's time to go home. You go to an appointment, and what are you going to do? Go to the car. You're driving in the car to the appointment. You get to the appointment, you're probably going to sit down with your client. And you finally get home, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, whatever it is. What do most people do when they get home, Joe? Most people are freaking exhausted when they get home. They're not going out to the gym. Some people are, but the majority of the people, they're just exhausted. They go home. What's the first thing they do? They sit on the couch, take off their shoes, flip up their, did I say flip up? Man, I am almost 50. They flip open their phone. They turn on their phone. They flip out their couch, whatever it is. Take off their shoes, and they're going to sit on the couch. Sometimes they fall asleep looking at movies or Netflix, whatever it is. But they're going to be sitting down until when? Until they order DoorDash or something like that, Uber Eats, to get something delivered, and then they're going to Netflix for the next 2 hours. Right? I mean, this is just real talk. This is what people
pretty
tell
standard.
Me. And then it's 7, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. What comes next? They go from the couch to bed. They're going to be laying down. So a stand-up desk allows you for almost 8 hours of the day, not 8 hours in a row. You don't have to do that. Although Jill and I, we both have stand-up desks. We don't know how we ever existed without
Sat down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but we do it the whole time. But when you have a stand-up desk, the one that I recommended on my essentials list,
sure,
is by a company called Defy, and it goes. You don't have to do some custom, thing to your office. It sits down on your desk.
Yeah.
Existing desktop. You press a button. It adjusts to your eye level, and then you do that. Try standing up for 15 minutes one day, and then at the end of 15 minutes, you push it all the way down so it's like a flat desktop. Sit down for 15 minutes. That's cool, right? Yeah, there it is right there. Right? So she's standing up. And then 15 minutes, you go back to sitting down if you want to. But what it's encouraging you to do is to be active. And this is when, because if you just tell somebody who's sitting down all day, yeah, every 15 minutes or 20 minutes, get up and do some yoga poses or something, no one's going to do it. I found when you're standing up, you are more, and it's just from personal experience, you are more apt to be productive and less likely to. I've done it. I admit it. I'm not perfect. You ever go on like a YouTube, like down a YouTube rabbit hole?
Oh yeah.
For some like 80s music or some.
Yeah.
I like whether it's the 10 greatest movies of all time, the 10 best kung fu fights of all time.
Sure.
The 10 best scenes from The Godfather, our series or something. All of a sudden, but when I'm sitting down at my office is pretty bad because my home office, I can put my chair back a little bit and put my feet up. I'm done, dude. I'm done for like an hour and 15 minutes. I'm just going to sit there. When I'm standing up, that's not happening. So it's almost like casual Fridays. People had a lot of feedback, negative feedback about that over the years because one of the reasons I dress a certain way in a professional setting is because I feel like I should be doing business. When I'm at home, people laugh at me all the time because I'm usually not wearing a shirt and stuff because that's just who I am. I wear flip-flops and a pair of surf trunks. That's how I relax. When I'm with my friends, when I'm out jogging, it's a pair of sneakers, pair of shorts. I don't need anything else. But when it's time to work, when it's time to network, when it's time to make some money and hustle, I want to go all in. I want to be my best self. It's also
I love
self-respect
that.
as well.
Yeah.
So it's the same way, in my opinion, with how you present yourself and your environment at work.
Sure.
It's the same
Sure.
thing with your environment, with your accountability partners and who you hang out with. So I'll tell you what, man, if you're pick out 3 people in your life who you know are, whether they're Trump haters or they're Biden haters or whatever's going on
Hmm.
now
Hmm.
politically, and you spend a half hour with those guys, are you going to be as productive as if you're in the same room with Jani, Bonacisi and Walter, right, for half an hour? I'll take the latter any
Sure.
day of the week. It's the same thing with, to me, it's your environment. If you're I just found out if you're standing up, not only is it better for you from a health and wellness perspective, you're
Hmm.
from a productivity standpoint.
Sure.
So, but there's so
I
many
love that.
back issues and stuff like that. And this is just one small change you can make in your
Yeah.
life for $140
Right.
that can change your life. And I know that's a big hyperbole or something, but it's not. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
small baby steps. When you like these micro adjustments you make in your life, maybe one of them won't change your life, but
Sure.
a cumulative effect of like those 10 things. If you do 3 of those things in a month, 6 of those things in over the course of a year, all of a sudden you don't realize it at the time. It's like
Yeah.
that experiment of the frog who's boiling in the water, that the temperature goes up by 1 degree every hour. The frog never feels it because it's happening very slowly. It's the same thing, but in a good way. You don't realize that in 6 months what you can do to your body, what you can do to your
Hmm.
mind. It's a
Hmm.
fascinating, and to me, it's a very exciting. I get excited just thinking about it because, again, for someone who I didn't really, school just never really was my thing.
Right.
But if I see somebody doing something, whether I'm I spend a lot of time in Costa Rica, I spend a lot of time in Colorado, California, with people who are a little bit, we'll say, unconventional with their business. These are like Gary Vaynerchuk style kind of
Sure.
guys, but
Sure.
they're also awesome, like wellness beach volleyball players, and it just rubs off on you, man. So I only share these things because I know for someone like me, I'm unconventional, and if I
Yeah.
can do it, um, trust me, I bet 99% of these vault members are smarter than me and have more potential than I do on these things. And if I can do it, man, you guys should, and gals, you should go for it.
Dude. Man, this has been so good. We'll definitely do a part 2 for everybody watching. People in the comment are like, "I needed this." I'm typing, "I needed this." There's 15 people over here on Facebook. There's 15, 20 over here on the Zoom. So let's tie this thing up because we're going to get into some Twitch party dance party after this. Couple things. Show them the books because I want everybody, because I bought this book. I didn't say, "Oh man, hook me up." Like I saw Marcello 2 years ago at Mobile Beat Speak. Maybe it was three. Maybe it was three. He crushed it, and he was in the hallway after, like the speakers are, and I was like, I want the book. And I actually, uh, just like Marcello, I'm not a big reader, and I read this on the plane back from Las Vegas, and it was super, super cool. Celebrate Life. He's holding it up right there. I'm going to figure out a way. I'll get it from you, Marcello, and I'll give it away somehow to the vault members,
Sure.
and I'll make sure, and then I'll pay you to drop ship it to them. But
All good.
that's Celebrate Life. And then, of course, his wife, Jill, who I've met a couple of times, is a pediatrician, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So
What's that book called? I
yeah. So
forget.
it's called The Universe is Listening, and it's
Yep.
it's a children's guide to the power of positive thinking, positive and mindful thinking for children. And essentially, as a pediatrician, real short is she sees how you're in control of your thoughts, and
Sure.
she's actually seen kids feel sick and make themselves sick. I'm sure a lot of these moms and dads out there have kids who can worry themselves to where it actually makes them makes themselves nauseous, and the stress, it's a big deal, especially with COVID in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
The amount of depression and anxiety is through the roof. So anyway, Jill's book teaches kids how they are the only ones who are responsible for their thought process, and they shouldn't let any outside source control their thoughts. So it's interesting that a lot of parents actually, when they read it for their kids, they said, wow, this is actually something that I needed to read. So I'm happy to give this to someone as well from the vault who's got kids and who just
So
take a look at
I
it.
was about to say, I'm going to make sure they have kids. So I'm going to find a way to give both of these away to some deserving vault members. And man, I can't thank you enough for being on. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this for a long time. I've known you for a long time. We've hung out before. Got to, I remember in Philly at that one think tank year that I went to. We got to be close. We were rapping on the bus on the way to dinner one night.
Yeah, man.
That was really like where I felt like we kind of crossed over to where we were buddies. And anyway, man, just a really cool history with you. And I love watching you and seeing your family and seeing how you just maintain, man. You do your thing, and this guy that started out doing mitzvahs and DJing, pivoted into a brand and a speaker. And I mean, I remember calling you one night just so like shot out of a cannon. I was like, dude, I had just been to a conference or something, maybe not non-DJ related. And I was like, and this was probably the year after Mobile Beat, or maybe just a few months after. And I was like, and you're better than anybody I just saw at this thing. And they all consider themselves to be professional speakers. And so when the world resets, man, I just know I just feel this, I don't know, this pivot coming, not necessarily a pivot for you, but I just feel like another chapter is in your future, more TV, more stages, and not just being the guy that, produces some really big $1 million events. But I just feel like that is your next 20 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Thanks,
you're that
man.
good. You're that good.
I appreciate those kind words and the support, and it's the respect and admiration is mutual, and I know there's some probably mutual butt kissing that you do with everybody, but it's from the heart. I mean, I've shared this with you. I try to be. You're one of the 8 people who I see what's going on online, because you're one of those guys who not only during COVID but in the past few years of my life. When I talk about hustle and consistency, I tell you that on the phone, and I tell you that online, is you just make it happen. And that's Jan I's thing, right? I know you're from the Jan I. To me, you guys are like the three amigos in my book. It's you, Walter, and Jan I, maybe because you're so approachable to me, and I got that connection through Mike. I got to know you guys better. And but when I get up and I do check social for work purposes, and I see another freaking video from Joe Bunn that's content, like it's a produced video, whether you're in some old Cadillac that's sawed off to whatever, and you're doing explosions, or you're just, Linus is doing another, awesome photo shoot, and you're in the New York Times during COVID, keeping it real. That's what I want to see, because that just tells me, I asked some people in that questionnaire about, what gets you out of bed in the morning. And to me, it's I'm inspired by people who are doing it. They're not complaining about it.
Right.
They're just doing it. And you've always been that guy who does it. And that's why it's this, you shouldn't really be thanking me. I'm thanking you, because things are so busy and crazy. This is probably the most time we've had in the last 6 months together. So I'm happy that everybody else is here, but I feel like you and I were just kind of chatting, but I like to be able to see you now for the last, whatever, half hour, 45 minutes. And I appreciate that, because I tell everybody, you are who you surround yourself with, and you got to keep good company. I say that all the time. And so you are some really good company. And I think your vault members are, man, I hope they know what they got there. And Mike and I we talked about you at lunch today, and we said the amount of content that you were putting out is just, it's amazing. And that's not an exaggeration. So if you can do it, that tells me that, man, I can do something in my mind that I think is pretty unbelievable too. And I'm trying to do some stuff. So, man, just keep up the great work. And
thank you, man.
I'm happy to talk to you whenever you'd like. And if your members will have me back someday, I'm happy.
Absolutely, man. We're going to circle back.
But this was
do
great.
a part 2. Thank you, man.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody. Thanks, brother.
Thank you.